Hello, everyone, and welcome to the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your host, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
Drew, man, 2 weeks, 2 episodes.
We're on a roll, buddy.
Finding the groove, man. Finding the groove.
It's you find yourself having a little bit extra time once football season is over, right?
No, man. You don't have any kids at home. That's a little different for you. Now I actually have to do more because I have to entertain children and do homework and all the other stuff. But no, it's all good times, all worth it. Except for today, my son did not want to do his math homework. Long division. Being a math teacher and always saying like, well, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket, but guess what, you do. And you can use AI to solve any of your problems nowadays, Drew, can't you?
That's what I'm told.
You can use AI to solve all your problems. So, but no, man.
I'm dying over here. I'm just keeping quiet.
Hey, if you know, you know. So yeah, man, bringing it up this week. Not a lot really going on, man. We're kind of in like an in-between area with high school sports. I don't think the basketball season's started yet, has it? Or
no, it starts officially on December 14th.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. So that's actually my shout out for today. I want to give a shout out to Ocean City High School freshman Cullen Whalen, who made the freshman basketball team.
Nice.
It is nice. I know it's not winning the Heisman Trophy, but he's my neighbor and he's a great kid. So I wanted to give Cullen a shout out.
Good for him.
Hope he has a great season.
I
also wanted to make a couple corrections. I made a couple errors that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's lots of errors that I've made. But so first of all, on our Flanders episode, we talked about Vivian B. Smith, who was the architect of the Flanders, City Hall, the old high school, and the music pier. And I think I made the statement that she was a badass, right, with what she did with the Flanders. Well, it turns out Vivian B. Smith was a man. So my apologies to Vivian B. Smith and his ancestors for that blunder. Second was last week when we were talking about the New Jersey State football champion mainland football team. I mentioned their center, Ethan Schock, but I used the wrong last name in the last episode. His name is Ethan Schock. So I wanted to correct that. He had a great season. I'm told he's looking to play football for Army. I hope he good luck and I hope he reaches that yeah, very cool. Hope he reaches that dream.
Yeah,
so I just want to make those corrections.
You obviously weren't using AI to prepare, Drew.
Nor will I probably ever, Dom.
Drew, you got to do it, man. It's amazing.
Nah,
it's amazing. It is a good time.
I'll hold off on that. Thanks.
For sure. Definitely. Now you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. You use it once or twice, Drew, and it'll change your life.
Well, as you know, the story I told you in pre-production goes to show that AI can be problematic in certain ways. And, so as you know, my son Aiden is at Colorado State, and they have, and I'm sure most colleges have, anti-AI software.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you submit a paper, they run it through this software to see if it was generated by AI.
You just gotta go change it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad of that, honestly, because that hopefully means we'll have a less lazy and smarter generation by having to do their work and not using AI.
Yeah, but
You know what I'm
if
saying?
you,
You know what I'm saying, Dom? Like having to do their work and not using AI.
yeah, but if you can get AI to do the work for you and then use your time to do something more productive, you know,
As
that's
I
the key.
said, as we learned on Sunday, that can be problematic.
It can be. It can be.
Yes.
Um, Speaking of Sunday, um, went up to the Eagles game with my son. Good times. Before though, I went to an iconic Philly cheesesteak establishment for the first time up in Roxborough. Went to Delisandro's. Magical is just not even the word to describe it, Drew. It was better than magical. It was amazing.
Better than magical.
Yes, it was unreal, unreal. All the hype, and it
I've
lived up to
been,
it.
and it is good.
It lived up to the hype. Unlike the game,
Yeah.
the cheesesteak definitely lived up to the hype. So that was a good time for
Good
sure. And
stuff.
my son and I have the same birthday, so we started a tradition where like we spend the day together. Now start going to an Eagles game that weekend. Just building on that cool stuff.
That's good stuff, Dom.
Yeah, eventually he's gonna get to the point where he's like, Dad, I don't really want to hang out with you anymore.
Now it's
So
going to be, can I bring a friend? That's the next step.
that's true. Then
And
it's
then
gonna be like,
then
hey,
it's can you get us tickets to go to the game?
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
How will he get there though? Will he take the train?
Maybe a plane. Maybe a
an
flying car.
automobile.
Maybe a flying car. It's all
That
out
was
there.
really ham-handed segue, wasn't it?
It was. It was very forced. Very forced.
That was really, really
Weren't really ready to go there yet, Drew. But now the cat's out of the bag. I guess we got to let it run free here.
Well, I was trying to be more efficient with time.
People love hearing us talk about nothing, Drew. I mean, November Nonsense has more views than anything we've put out yet, to be honest with you. So,
well, I was trying to be more efficient with time only because I didn't want to fall into the trap of the time that you spent writing your coach's speech for the junior Raiders.
hey, listen, his heart is long, it's heartfelt. It was.
All right, so we're going to skip right on into our. You ready to get into it?
I mean, do we have a choice now at this point, Drew? You segued in. You can't segue
segued
back out and then segue back in. I mean,
I didn't
maybe you
segue
can, but I
in
don't think we're
well,
that
but I
far along.
segued in. Yeah,
I don't think we're that far along in our podcast career that we can just keep segueing back and forth here.
maybe
You guys
one day.
gotta go here.
Maybe one day we'll get there.
Someday. We can only hope so.
So this subject was my wife's idea. She thought it would be great to talk about the trains that used to run in Ocean City, and I remember
all
them.
up and down
Or I
this area.
remember one, and I remember the tracks from the other. So it's and as always, it was interesting doing some research. So I'll get right into it. So Ocean City was founded, as you know, in 1879, and at the time it was only accessible by boat.
The good old days.
The good old days. But our founders and many people who ran the city or were involved with the businesses were pretty forward thinking, right? So within 5 years,
They used AI.
Yeah, they used AI. So it was founded in 1879, and by 1884, there were 3 options to get to Ocean City from Philadelphia in the Philadelphia area, western part of New Jersey, via train. And that was a train from Philadelphia to Atlantic City to Longport, and then a steamboat from Longport to Ocean City. Number 2 was a train from Philadelphia to Summers Point, and then a steamboat from Summers Point to Ocean City. And the third way was an all rail route, and that was from Philadelphia to Ocean City through Sea Isle City, and that was beginning in 1884. So there was 2 separate rail lines that ran in Ocean City at various times. The first was the West Jersey and Seashore Railroad, ran on West Avenue, and that ran from Ocean City to Sea Isle and points south down to Cape May. And that, as I mentioned, began in 1884 and ran until the 1930s. The second one, and probably the more well-known and what you can still see today, remnants of, was the Pennsylvania Railroad Reading Seashore Line, the Ocean City branch. And that came into Ocean City via a turn bridge at 51st Street, which stayed open to to mariners unless a train was crossing. And that came in at 51st Street, ran down Haven Avenue. And some of those tracks are still there, Dom. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they're still there. You can see them from West Avenue. I've hiked on them a few times, actually more than a few times. That service ran until 1898. Or excuse me, it began in 1898 and ran until 1981.
Wow, it's not that long ago.
No, it's not. I remember when that train ran in town. So that was part of the main line of the Pennsylvania Reading Seashore Line, which ran from Camden and then on to Philadelphia, if you were going to Philadelphia, and to Atlantic City. A branch line, a train ran from Camden down to AC, and there were cars for Ocean City, Wildwood, and Cape May. So at Tuckahoe, cars for Ocean City were cut off, and then another engine picked them up and pulled them into Ocean City. There were stops at 51st Street, 34th Street, 24th Street, 14th Street, as well as the 10th Street station. That was what is still there today.
That's the bus station now, correct?
That is the bus station. Yep.
Slash TV parking lot.
Yeah. Prior to 1957,
floods incredibly
when the steam trains were converted to diesel, that train would make 2 more stops, one at 4th Street and one in the Gardens.
And they didn't have their own private train?
No. The train would turn around on a train Y and head back south, and that was right at what is now the North Street Playground. So that came the train that ran down Haven, the Seashore Line. Now there is condo. It was originally a motel, and that's where the train station was, and it was named after the railroad. It's the Crossings. So it was the Crossings Motel. Now it's the Crossing Condominiums. And so that was a passenger
That's not the one
line.
that was shut down recently, was it?
No, that's a Sea Spray at Bay Avenue.
Okay.
So that was a passenger line, but they did have occasional freight service that brought lumber into town via boxcar. So that train began running in 1898, and the same year the train station was built at 10th, and that was originally named the Ocean City 10th Street Station, and was changed to the Ocean City Transportation Center in 1981 when it was converted to a New Jersey Transit bus terminal. And as a little aside, in 1984, that station was listed on the state and national registers of historic places. And after it was flooded in Sandy, it was rehabbed to very close to its original condition.
Cool.
Yeah. So again, I remember that. I don't remember the West Avenue train, obviously, but I remember the Haven Avenue train. And back then, it would, as from my memory, it would leave the island. There was 2 trains that left the island in the morning, a couple hours apart, and then 2 trains that would return in the evening. So you could get on the train and go to work and then come home at night. And I do remember, so that was shut down in 1981, but the Turn Bridge was there long after that. I don't know the date that was taken down, but I do remember that train bridge being there until, geez, my guess would be in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, probably the 90s. I used to fish down there, and it was fully intact. It wasn't operational; it was fully intact.
Yeah, no, I remember that.
Yeah. So Haven Avenue was the train line, and it's now the bike path.
Yep.
And a road, of course.
Seems to be the theme in South Jersey. You turn your train tracks into bike paths, through Summers Point, Linwood, Northfield, and the Pleasantville.
Yeah, it's called a rail to trail. It's very popular. There are, my guess would be hundreds of thousands of miles of rail trails throughout the United States. In fact, there is another rail trail on the island. It runs for about 3/4 of a mile, and it starts in the parking lot of Corson's Inlet State Park, just before you hit the Russ Chatton Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And it runs back towards Ocean City for 3/4 of a mile. And it's a beautiful trail. It's short, but it's a beautiful trail. I think the original idea was to connect that to West Avenue to form a loop, but neighbors in the area didn't like that idea. They thought having a connection to West Avenue into their neighborhood would bring a bad element.
West Avenue is rough.
Well, I think they're talking about the bicyclists. I think those people, those darn bikers, can be,
oh, they're rough. It's rough. It's rough down there.
Yeah,
especially this time of year. Down there on West Avenue.
Oh, terrible! The crime would have skyrocketed.
Yes, and the cyclists down there,
from one incident over the course of 9 months to 2.
I mean, listen, Drew, you got to understand it. I got to respect them. They put these bike lanes out here on Bay Avenue in front of my house. It's been chaos ever since.
Chaos.
Just chaos. Chaos.
So, we talked about the Flanders was built in 1923 and to accommodate, tourists, right? So how were they getting here? Mostly by boat in those days. So I looked into, and again in 1922 or 23, the Delaware River Bridge was built, which is now the Ben Franklin Bridge. So cars were getting out of Pennsylvania into New Jersey. So the folks in Ocean City said, well, we got to get them on the island, right? So in 1912, the first bridge was built from Summers Point to Ocean City, followed by 3 more bridges. One was the Longport Bridge, was built in 1927. And that made sense, right? Connecting Absecon Island to Ocean City, maybe in anticipation of Prohibition. So the good folks in Ocean City could get to the speakeasies in Ocean City and or get the booze off the ships and get it over to Atlantic City. So that was Longport Bridge in 27. And then
No
a
one drinks your
bridge,
Drew.
was built. We're going to do a speakeasy. Episode. So a bridge was built over
Club.
Corson's Inlet from Strathmere in 1946. And
Still there.
then still there.
Same bridge.
Same bridge. Yes, sir. And then a bridge was built from Marmora to 34th Street in 1964. So
That's not. No, that is the same bridge, probably.
yeah, that's the same bridge. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So that's 4 bridges built in the span of 52 years. So that was the
accessible at the bottom of every one.
Not the Longport Bridge.
There was back in the day.
Was there?
There used to be a club there.
Oh, the bar, yeah.
The bar right there around the corner.
Dunes Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Dunes Till Dawn, yeah. And then it closed and it opened back up as a sports bar.
Yeah.
And that was one of the Gregories, or maybe both of the Gregories, owned and operated that for quite a while, right?
I don't know who opened it, but I know that there used to be a bar there. And then now you don't have to go far. You can go right down to the marina. There's a bar and restaurant right there.
Yes, there is. Yeah, which I think that closed again, didn't it?
No, the marina's still open.
No, not the marina, the bar and restaurant.
I can't imagine that bar and restaurant closed. I think that's still going.
Mm.
I'll have to look into it. You'll have to look into it because I'm not allowed to Google anything right now. So
yeah, I will look into that. I think that may have suddenly closed again.
Really?
I will look into it. Yeah, because I don't want to slander a good business. It is a nice spot too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how's that? I mean, I don't know how a lot of things close, but that seems to be, your ideal location. You got all the boats there. You got the community there of nice houses. You got Longport right over the bridge, like
Ocean City. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there. So prior to, I don't even remember what the name of the current or most recent restaurant is. Do you remember the name of it, Don?
I've driven past it, but I can't. It's like L something luck. I won't Google it, Drew. I won't Google it.
Yeah, don't do it. And then the one prior to that was really good. I like that. But anyway, we get off topic here. So that's the bridges. The planes.
What bridge used to come into? What bridge came into 8th Street?
Into 8th Street.
Yeah. Wasn't there a railroad bridge that came into 8th Street at one point?
No. Not a bridge. There was a turnaround from the transportation center.
I don't know. I always thought there was a bridge that came in on 8th Street for trains, and they left 9th Street open for cars because they knew the cars were eventually coming. Maybe I was.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me before, and it didn't sound right to me then. And in my research, I didn't see anything about an 8th Street bridge. Again, there was there was a turnaround after the 10th Street Transportation Center. So maybe there was a connection there. Maybe it was part of a turnaround on 8th Street.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to do a correction later if we find out.
If I'm wrong, I'd be glad to say I'm wrong.
So
in 1929, Ocean City officials purchased 124 acres of land between 22nd and 28th Street, west of Bay Avenue. You want to take a guess how much they paid for 124 acres in Ocean City back in 1929?
In 1929, 124 acres.
Come on.
I want to say like 100, 124 acres. I'm saying you're probably paying $1 an acre, maybe.
So $124.
No, 1924, you're probably paying $100 an acre.
All right, so $12,400.
Yeah.
Okay, it was 87,000.
All right.
So I think you probably were thinking $1,000 an acre, right? That would have been 124,000.
Well, looking back on the Flanders costing, 30 million, like that makes sense, or roughly around that number.
So had I, if I could get a time machine and go back in time, I would have outbid the city by $1,000 and paid $88,000 for 124 acres of land in Ocean City. It's a crazy amount of money, right? So they purchased the land with the idea of building a municipal airport. But shortly after they purchased the property came the Wall Street crash, right, of 1929. So they for lack of money and probably loans, availability loans, the project was halted. Then 5 years later, the city received a $100,000 grant from the Civil Work Administration to build the airport, and that money was mostly in labor, trying to put people back to work, right? And they employed 400 workers to
Wow.
build the airport, which was originally intended to have 3 runways, which is kind of a thinking big and bold back in 1934. And the idea was to build them, have the runway material being material that they dredged out of the bay, so basically crushed clamshell, right? And the airport opened on July 4th, 1935. And at the time, it was the only airport on a New Jersey barrier island. And I was trying to think, there's still not many.
I guess
Right?
Bader Field isn't on Atlantic City.
It's not
It's
technically a barrier
just
island.
over the bridge there.
Yeah. Yeah. Does Brigantine have an airport?
I don't know. I can't Google it.
Thankfully.
They might.
For some reason, I think they do. Cape May does not. I mean, Cape May has an airport, but
it's not on the island.
Not on the island. So anyway, here we are, almost 100 years later, and you and I are scratching our heads about where there are airports located on barrier islands. So in 1935, that was a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah.
Only, 20, more or less 20 years after the invention of the airplane.
And the airport is currently, I believe I remember hearing this, they're getting a new terminal. They're kind of going to redo that.
Yes.
Make a little investment into that area.
Yes. So the city is, the estimate is $5 million to tear down the existing building and replace it with a better facility, which would include facilities for pilots, which it doesn't currently have, airport offices, a pro shop serving the golf course, which it does currently have, and a new restaurant on the 3rd floor with expansive views of the bay. Now, the estimated cost is $5 million. As we all know, costs have continued to go up. So we'll see what that final ticket is. However, the costs are going to be offset in a large part. One, the owner of Berger Realty, Leon Grisbaum, gifted the city $3 million for the project. The city has that money. It's sitting in escrow and will be returned if it's not built, but is to be used for the building building of a new terminal building.
It's very
And
generous.
they've also $3 million, sure. They have also applied for a grant from the FAA to offset the cost. So who knows? Maybe it's mostly funded not by taxpayer dollars.
Hey man, I'm all
And
for a bigger airport.
the new terminal will be named the Leon and Elizabeth Grisbaum Airport Terminal.
I'm all for a bigger airport. Let's do it. We're gonna get this big luxury hotel. We're gonna need to get some more Learjets in here.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know, why
It'd be
not?
nice. I'll tell you. So for a long, long, long time, dating back to the late '80s, um, the um, the airport diner was a great spot.
Yep.
Um, to my knowledge, and I don't know this to be fact, but to my knowledge, during that time until it closed down during COVID or around that time, there was only 2 owners, and it was a great little spot. I loved it there, and even on weekends during the summer when there would be lines outside of most other places, Reddy's and Varsity Inn. There might be a little bit of a wait at the airport diner, but there were certainly no lines. They did a good business, but it's off the beaten path. You can't, it's not walking distance to downtown like a lot of places are. You'd have to drive or ride your bike. So they just didn't get the crowds that other places got. So it was a nice little hidden gem, and the food was always good.
Good pancakes there, from what I remember. Excellent pancakes.
Yeah, everything there. I don't think I had anything that was not good there. So it was Augie's for a while. Augie's ran it, and Augie's, as you know, is at 9th and 9th.
Ocean, I believe.
Is it Ocean or is it Atlantic? I think it's Atlantic.
Atlantic, you're right. It's the next
Yeah.
one down.
And Augie's is a great spot. Augie's is super nice people run that. They're really they do a nice job. It's quality food. It's an abundance of food, Dom. Have you ever had breakfast there? Or ever
I've
eaten
been
there?
trying to
'Cause it's
convince
open
people to
for
go
more than
lately, but
yeah, it's a
I
great
haven't
spot.
been victorious there yet.
Yeah, Anna Marie, the owner, is really pretty nice person and very generous in the community, I have to say.
So we covered the trains, we covered the planes. Now, the way that the majority of our Airbnbers get here, the vehicle.
Well, we covered the bridges.
We
Did you
did.
forget? Did you forget? You
I
weren't paying
did, but
attention to me,
you
were you?
never brought up the Route 52 bridge. You never brought up that bridge. You haven't
I
gotten
did.
there yet.
That was built in 1912. Oh, the new bridge, you mean?
The new bridge, man.
Oh,
That
the
you can't leave out
replacement.
I believe at one point, and it might still be, the largest road construction project in the state of New Jersey history. It was like $450 million or something like that.
Yeah, and aside from that, um, it was it had some other distinctions. It had all the concrete on the original bridge was repurposed for the bridge that's built there today. It's the only bridge in New Jersey that has, I forget now what the distinctions are, but the fishing piers,
Mhm.
the lights, the
Speaking of
fishing
those lights,
piers.
they're out right now.
Yes, that whole system is being replaced.
Apparently, a lot
Uh,
of people are not happy about that because it's the holidays, and they believe seeing the bridge lit up in red and green, it's just not the holidays without it.
Stuff breaks. What are you going to do, brother? And
It was
the system isn't operational. That's the problem.
It's poor
System
planning.
broke down.
Poor planning.
Man, look at you pointing the finger all the time. All you're doing is pointing the finger all the time.
Hey,
Stuff
listen,
happens, dude.
I am just telling you.
It's a electronic system over the bay. It sits literally on the bay. It's going to
I'm
break.
telling you what people are saying on social media. I understand things break.
Well, if you heard it on social media, it must be accurate and factual.
Poor planning. Who owns?
How could they have? What are you saying, Dom? What do you mean poor planning?
Who owns this? The
Should they
state
have?
own it? Is it the
Yes.
state, the county, or the
Yeah,
city?
state. It's a state
State
bridge.
run. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they've been putting all
Are
their
you
money
saying
into
they should have
windmills.
planned to
understand.
purchase a new system and put it on a shelf somewhere waiting for this to break down? Or what's the poor planning
No, I'm
part?
saying if you like, you know, you would kind of factor in like, okay, hey, we built this bridge. How long has it been there now? Like 15 years ago. Like, should phase in. Like, all
15
right,
years.
we're gonna replace this in year 15. So like they could do it in phases. Like, hey, we're gonna do this bridge, this bridge.
They are.
Yeah.
They are replacing it in year 15.
Yeah. Well, like should have said, all right, it's gonna break in year 15, or it has this long of a life. Let's replace it every 10 years so that it doesn't get to the point where it's broken down and everybody can be all upset and crying that they can't see their beautiful colored bridge. Listen, I'm just telling you what's out there in the world, Drew, and how people are feeling to get when they come into Ocean City and their bridge isn't lit up.
You can't buy into that negativity. People, I always say you can stand on the corner handing out $100 bills to passing cars, and you're going to get somebody that's going to complain about the traffic, right?
Yeah,
people are going to complain about anything and everything they can, and you have to try to see past that negativity and try to keep a positive spin on life.
Well, fingers crossed.
That's how I've lived. That's how I've lived to be 97 with a big smile on my face now.
Well, that's good for you. Let's just hope they get it back up and running soon.
I mean, really, having the lights out on the bridge,
yeah,
are problems that we can live with.
First world problems, sure. That's what I call them.
Yes.
First world problems, for sure.
First world problems. Yes, indeed.
100%. But no, that bridge is that bridge is just not only for cars but people, and the bike path on there, always someone on there.
So, funny story, Dom. So, as the bridge is being built, when they started construction, we knew there was going to be that what they call multi-use path. And I was on the city's mayor's advisory council for physical fitness and sports at the time. And if you were coming over that bridge into Ocean City, you would get to the traffic light at Bay Avenue as a bicyclist and have nowhere to go. There was no accommodation beyond Bay, 9th and Bay for bicyclists. So we asked for a meeting with some stakeholders, the mayor, council persons, Chamber of Commerce. And we said, hey, the completion of this bridge is only 2 years away. We should really do something to prepare for the bicycle traffic coming over that bridge. And a council person at the time, no longer a council person, and I'm not going to embarrass him by saying his name. Our pitch was, do we want to be proactive or reactive? If we want to be reactive and see what kind of traffic the bridge gets, we might be behind the 8 ball, and we might be looking at, people getting hurt on their bicycles on 9th Street and at the corner of 9th and Bay and so on. Or do we want to be proactive and do something about it? So this councilman, first one to speak, he says, I think we should be reactive. I just don't think a lot of people are going to ride their bikes on that bridge. The incline is too steep. People aren't going to ride on that bridge. Well, as you know, that's not the case. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of people that run and ride on that bridge every year.
Yeah.
And we, luckily at the time, the mayor and the Chamber of Commerce realized that we had to be proactive. So they extended the shared use path down to Haven Avenue, which is the bike path heading south, and they installed the hawk signal, which would help people cross 9th Street and go to points north.
People actually,
because people would have gotten killed if they did nothing.
well, people need to start being a little more heads up to that hawk signal and realize, hey, the flashing red light means to stop, not just like it's not just a pretty decoration coming into Ocean City.
Well, actually, so it goes solid red, and when it starts blinking red, you can go. And the problem is that it's counterintuitive. Nobody knows it. I happen to, but nobody, because I was involved in, the implementation.
You were planning the whole thing.
But most people don't know that. And it's counterintuitive. You see a flashing red light. What do? You stop, right? If not, you're going to get hit by a train.
Back in the day, you would have.
Yeah. Back in the day, you would have. Right there at 9th.
Yeah, in that spot too, actually. Yeah.
Right. That spot.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Anyway, it is an awesome bridge. It's a great bridge. Great fishing on that bridge.
Great fishing
kayak
on
launch.
I did notice that. I did notice that the other day. I walk that bridge when I leave after I pulled the Airbnb move and drove down the right-hand lane and on 9th Street and had to go get a new rim for my car. I walked back. I'm like, oh wow, there is a launch there. I didn't realize there was a kayak launch there.
Yeah.
You can kind of pull over and bring your man-powered water vehicle and launch right there. I was like, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna take advantage of that this coming summer.
So it's December 5th, and I saw 3 kayakers out there today, right there at the point fishing.
Yeah, if you have one of those, you have a closed bottom kayak. I think the water's still pretty warm too. I think it might be in the 50s.
And it was a pretty nice day today. Yeah. Really, it was chilly, but not much wind. It was a nice day. I was down at Corson's Inlet. Beautiful.
Now, there's one other way we get to Ocean City, and we haven't discussed this yet. But as I was walking over the bridge last time when I noticed that, I've decided that this summer, a couple of my friends and I, we're going to swim from Summers Point to Ocean City. But we got to we're trying to figure out which way. Do we go the Rainbow Channel, or do we go on the south side of 9th Street?
I would say Rainbow Channel all the way.
They're concerned about the currents when you get over towards that north end of the island there in that inlet at the end of a long swim.
I'd be more concerned with. So are you gonna stay together?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how competitive.
No, we're not going to race. We're going to just do it to say we did it.
So definitely. You need someone in a boat and some kind of launch.
Yeah, right? we're gonna have a boat ferrying us across.
Okay.
We'll be ready.
I don't have my boat anymore, but if you have access, if any of the swimmers are boaters, I'll volunteer to be your security.
That'd be good.
I'll be your big Dom. How's that?
That'd be perfect.
I'll be your big Dom. Yeah.
That would be perfect.
And if anybody puts a finger in my face, I won't hold back like Big Dom did.
He's smart. That was quite a melee at the link.
Now I have to say, I might take heat for this, but Big Dom is security. He shouldn't have been on the sideline. And I mean, directly on the sideline. He should have been back watching the fans, making sure nothing crazy is going on. And he should not have inserted himself in the game. That's my personal opinion. I have a feeling the league is going to see it that way and mete out some discipline to Big Dom. Now, I'm not going to say this in South Philly because he's become a god, right? But I'm sorry, I don't think staff should be interacting with players on the field, any kind of staff. And, I get people are going to see it a different way, that he was sticking up for the Eagles player. Good for him. I get that, but that's not his job. That's the other player's job, right? In my opinion. So I think Big Dom was wrong. He should not have been there, shouldn't have gotten involved. And my guess is that the NFL is going to see it that way.
Speaking of the Eagles, is it true? Is this Shaquille Leonard signing true?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
I can't believe you're on your phone during podcast.
Wow.
Put it down and step away. Put it down and step away, my friend.
Howie signed somebody else today too, like just now. I don't know who. I wanted to see who it was. I was very intrigued by this.
Zach Ertz inked. No, I'm just kidding.
No, he didn't. He's going to Baltimore.
I was just kidding.
He's going to Baltimore, but no, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna swim. We'll have to do a
good for you. That's a great goal.
Maybe we'll do an episode about the swim. There used to be a race. There used to be the Rainbow Channel swim, where you would swim through the Rainbow Channel over to Ocean City.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Then people got smart.
I think boat traffic just got crazy, and those things are hard to.
That's why you need security.
Yeah, you got to get volunteers. You got to get people with boats. You got to get beach patrols behind you. Like, especially if you're trying to make money doing it, like these guys were.
Yeah, that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, and it just gets to the point where it's too much. I've swam from like the Dorset Avenue Bridge to the Albany Avenue Bridge a couple times. That's a pretty fun swim. But I'm excited.
I've swum from one end of my pool to the other end of my pool several times.
That's far, Drew. That's far. It's all good work.
I had to pull, and when I was done, I was exhausted. I had to pull myself up in the lounge chair.
It's hard there.
Get a cold drink to recover.
One time I actually kayaked from Summers Point Beach to the Wonder Bar. That was insane.
I remember you telling me the episode that I gave the shout out to my brother going around the island. You mentioned that.
Yeah, that was horrible.
That's far travel.
So,
all right, so we are back on track. Can I mention one more thing? I want to give another shout out. I forgot. I knew I had one.
End an episode shout out. This is a special one.
Yes. End of an episode shout out.
The dementia shout outs.
So as you know, I run a local charity along with my cohorts, Jen Bowman and Kathy Sykes. Fundraising efforts can be challenging in today's world, and it's something I'm not very good at, to be honest with you. I'm a terrible fundraiser. But a local business. I'm going to mention this part of it because this is actually cool. So the Asbury Avenue merchants are staying open on Friday evenings up until Christmas, up until 7:00. They're staying open they're adding like 4 to 7 for shopping downtown, which I think is awesome. It's great, especially I'm planning on doing it, especially after 4:30 when the sun goes down. It's all lit up and they're playing Christmas music and a lot of the shops are open. So it's a really great thing. Well, one of the merchants is offering Christmas package wrapping. And you don't have to buy from them to have it wrapped. You can bring your packages in and it's for a fee. And the fee is 100% is being donated to OCNJ Care. So Jilly's Asbury Avenue, which is between 10th and 11th on the bay side of Asbury, Jilly's Asbury, they are going to be open for this shopping every Friday. They're open more than that, obviously, but they're going to stay open until 7:00 on Friday nights. And even Saturdays or Sundays, they will wrap your packages, and everything 100% will go to OCNJ Cares. So I just want to give them a shout out. That was very generous of them. They're very generous people, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate having somewhere to take my packages to get wrapped, Dom, because my level of gift wrapping, if you were to take
It's as good
Helen
as my speech
Keller,
writing.
yes, exactly. If you were to take Helen Keller and combine with Edward Scissorhands, that's about my level of gift wrapping.
I can see that.
It ain't pretty.
I can see that.
Yeah, so I'm going to take
100%.
I'm gonna take my packages to Jilly's to get them wrapped, and whatever the cost is, I'm sure it's going to be minimal, but whatever it is going to be well worth it. So I want to give a shout out to Jilly's. Thank you for your generosity. That's it.
I will also be getting my Christmas packages wrapped there as well, too, Drew.
There you go, Dom.
I can wrap, but
Let's
I will
start a
support
trend.
you
Yeah,
and OCNJ Cares.
I would appreciate that.
And you know, it'd be the real thing they would do if they would come and put together the dollhouses the night before for some of those
Right.
parents out there.
Not sure they're prepared for that. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man.
All right,
Santa's
so
elves work magic there. They do.
let's
So everyone out there, you know, if you get a gift on Asbury Avenue on that late shopping, or don't feel like wrapping and you want that professional touch, take it over to Jilly's, corner of 10th and Asbury, right there, and get them wrapped and support a good cause as well too here this holiday season. So, well, Drew, 2 episodes, 2 weeks, 2 episodes.
let's
Can we
keep
make
it
it
rolling,
3?
buddy.
Can we make it 3?
Yes, let's keep it rolling.
All right. So tune in next week to the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.